Yeah, you have reading the Atlantic novel, but Sullivan Crom. He's a sixth grader at Sakai Intermediate School.
Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and road has been hollowed by some sad and happy events and vanished. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is within the ancestral territory of the Suquams, people of clear salt water. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and bass weavers, the Suquams live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central and Salish Sea as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquams live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations as promised by the Valiant Treaty of 18.
Thank you, Sullivan. Yes. We will be presenting you the certificate, and it reads, the city of Bainbridge Island thanks Sullivan Crom for his contribution in reading this promise and acknowledgement at the May 26, 2026 City Council meeting. Your words help us honor the richly complex history and continued presence of Indigenous peoples in our community. Thankful for using your voice to help create a more respectful and inclusive city, Clarence Murray Walkie, Bainbridge Island Mayor. And Councilor, would you please join me? A group picture with you.
Aye.
So it's 6-0 and the chair votes aye. 7-0. At this point, is there any conflict of interest? Anyone has this vote? So good in item 8.3a, approved proclamation for Jewish American Heritage Month, and it will be read by Councilor Burles.
A proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge, Washington, declaring May 2026 as Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas the first Jewish immigrants arrived on the shores of what is now the United States in 1654, seeking stability and a better life, fleeing rising persecution, prejudice, and pogroms. And whereas Jewish American Heritage Month was established in 2006 to recognize and celebrate generations of Jewish Americans of diverse racial and ethnic identities who have enriched and helped shape our nation's civic, social, economic, and cultural life. And whereas Jewish people's varied experiences and rich histories of resilience, faith, and hope in the face of adversity, prejudice, and persecution have been woven into the fabric of our nation's story. And whereas Bainbridge Island encourages all Washingtonians to stand up, speak out, and reject anti-Jewish sentiment and advance safety, equity, compassion, and belonging, and the peaceful coexistence of Jewish people and their neighbors, regardless of religion. And whereas Jewish American Heritage Month is an opportunity to learn about and appreciate the stories and contributions of Jewish Americans throughout history, attend Jewish cultural and learning events, and be in community with Jewish people. Now, therefore, on behalf of Clarence Murray, Mayor of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, and on behalf of the City Council, we do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Bainbridge Island, and encourage all Islanders to observe this commemoration by engaging with the multifaceted elements of Jewish history and heritage on this island and beyond. And Hannah Abrams will be accepting this.
My name is Hannah Abrams, and I'm a junior at VHS. As many of you know, I'm also Jewish. I'm not so silent about this part of my identity. I'm pretty vocal about it. Yet the last couple of years, it has really felt comfortable to be vocal about this part of my identity. Such a large part of my identity has been countlessly tried to be silenced and erased. Anti-Semitism has raged wild, and anti-Semitic incidences here and in the rest of the United States have reached levels unseen since the Holocaust. But just because it has been difficult does not mean I've been silent. That's what we do as Jewish Americans. We don't remain silent. For generations, the Jewish American community has been pioneers of change. Today, I am honored to accept this proclamation declaring May Jewish American Heritage Month. This proclamation is more than words on paper. It is a recognition of the countless Jews who have shaped this island and its success. It is a reminder that our voices and our stories matter. So thank you, City Council. This may feel like a small step to you, but I guarantee that it is not a small step to us. It is such a big reminder that us and us as Jewish Americans matter. So thank you.
Thank you so much. City presentation from the City Employee Wellness Committee on the city's participation in the Association of Washington City's Law City Government.
Thank you, Mayor and Council Community. I'd like to welcome the city's Wellness Committee representatives from several departments in the city who respond or plan and present different parts of the wellness program. Share some details about the program, and in particular, make sure you're aware of this before you go to the AWC conference in June, where you'll learn even more. So thank you, Wellness Committee.
Good evening, council members. My name is Joel Schwartz. I'm a development engineer with the city and a member of the Wellness Committee representing the Public Works Department. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the city's wellness program. The city's wellness program was established in 1987 with the support of the mayor, the city council, department directors, and the wellness committee. The program was originally developed through the Association of Washington Cities as part of the healthcare cost containment initiative. What started as a way to encourage healthier lifestyles and reduce healthcare costs has grown into a long-standing part of the city's workplace culture. The continued support from leadership over the years has helped make the program sustainable and impactful. Next slide, please. The purpose of the wellness program is to provide educational opportunities, planned activities, and incentives that help employees improve both their physical and mental health. The program is intended to foster a supportive workplace environment where employees are encouraged to focus on wellness in their daily lives. This includes not only physical health, but also mental awareness, stress management, social connection, and overall work-life balance. This program is formally established in Appendix D of the Employee Manual, reinforcing that employee wellness is recognized as an important organizational policy. Next slide, please. One of the measurable benefits of the wellness program is reduced healthcare costs. Due to the AWC Well City program, cities that achieve at least 50% of employee participation receive a 2% reduction in medical insurance premiums. In 2025, 66% of city employees participated in the wellness program, which qualified the city for the wellness designation. That participation resulted in more than $52,000 in medical premium savings for both the city and employees in 2025 alone. Over the last 10 years, the combined savings has exceeded $418,000. Beyond the direct financial savings, these numbers also reflect strong employee engagement and participation in wellness initiatives. Next slide. The wellness program also creates opportunities for employees to engage with and support the broader community. Activities such as the helpline food drive, the kids helping kids toy drive, and shop with a cop allow employees to participate in meaningful community outreach efforts. These activities strengthen relationships between departments, encourage teamwork, and help reinforce the city's commitment to service beyond our day-to-day operations. Next slide. There are also important organizational and operational benefits associated with employee wellness programs. Healthy employees are generally more focused, engaged, and productive, which ultimately benefits the level of service we provide the community. According to the Wellson program data, organizational with strong wellness participation experience lower medical and pharmacy trends and fewer hospital administrations. Programs like the self-support, employee retention, morale, and an overall workplace culture, which are important for maintaining strong and effective work environment. Next slide, please. Our wellness program focuses heavily on employee education and awareness. Topics include mental awareness, healthy eating, movement and exercise, sleep awareness, social engagement, and community engagement. The goal is not to expect perfection from employees, but to provide resources, encouragement, and opportunities that help employees make healthier choices and maintain balance in their lives. Even small improvements in wellness can have meaningful impact on stress levels, morale, and overall quality of life. Next slide. One of the strengths of the wellness program is that it creates opportunities for employees from different departments to connect with one another in positive and engaging ways. Activities such as brain games, benefit fairs, chili cook-offs, walking challenges, and interdepartmental cornhole tournaments help build camaraderie and workplace relationships. These activities may seem simple, but they contribute to employee morale, teamwork, and a sense of community within the organization. Strong workplace relationships and engagement can have real impact on employee satisfaction and organizational culture. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this update, and I'd be happy to have any questions. Not sure I did that, but I don't have an answer.
And that podium rising to the show.
My name is Brenda Landau. I'm the HR analyst and also member of the Wellness Committee. And I just want to take a brief moment to let you know about an exciting new event that we are doing this year in conjunction with the Wellness Committee from the city of Port Arthur. We'll be holding a kickball tournament between cities in the first weekend of August. This is a voluntary, family-friendly event, so we're hoping to have a huge turnout because we're going to have some great food. There's going to be a trophy, and then there's going to be some bragging rights to the winning team. So we want to take this moment to also invite council members to attend if you'd like to. And I'll be sending out an email later this week with some details for you, but I hope you'll be able to join us. And thank you for letting us come to the council tonight and a little presentation.
And just,
where is the kickball?
We're going to be holding it at neutral territory, so it will be in Bremerton at Lions Park.
thank you very much. Glad to participate in the program. It's some benefits. Now item number 4, public comments. That's folks. Comment is received by the council with no response, and the council cannot deliberate on either that on the agenda. Lack of comment is not an endorsement or an applicant comment. To defer to guidelines and instructions, and asking for 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members.
Okay, Maureen Olson, followed by Diana West.
I like that you prefer.
On your list. That's what I was saying. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am Diane West, and I am the rental district manager at the Bainbridge Field. First of all, thank you for having us on your agenda. You see the words of life shelter. A lot means something. It means alternative to living in a vibrant environment. If you didn't know that. No.
Hello, I'm Maureen Olson. I'm a legal advocate, Advocates at YWCA, and I'd like to address a hardship that the Y has recently faced. Our live shelter had a fire and is now uninhabitable due to fire and water damage. The result is our agency has had to house shelter clients and their children at a local hotel. And since we cannot use our kitchen, we've also had to provide meals to our clients at the hotel. So this obviously is something that was not in our annual budget. This is a new cost to us. We have insurance that will repair the shelter. We don't have the money to house our clients elsewhere. And for those of you who don't know, our shelter is the only 24-hour shelter in our county. We are open 24 hours a day, whereas other shelters close between business hours and their clients have to go out into the streets. We have a great demand for our shelter, housing, and legal services, and we've also lost a lot of federal funding under the current administration because our state chooses to protect our immigrants. And that has been had a big effect on us. We also have a lot of immigrants who are our clients. We protect them. So we implore you to consider assistance to our agency. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Let's, can we finish something? To please add that. Thanks. Thank you.
The arrow down.
I'm Miss Battery, President of Arts Communities Bainbridge, and Chair of the Public Art Committee. I'm excited to share an update about Something New 9, a program that continues to grow both in reach and in impact each year. Something New is a temporary art program that brings 5 new pieces to Winslow each year. In 2025, we received 24 submissions to Something New. This year, that number increased to 36. That kind of momentum tells us something important. Artists are paying attention. They see Bainbridge as a place that values creativity and invests in public art. We strongly believe that the increased stipend and travel allowance the council approved last fall favorably impacted not only the number of submissions, but also the quality. This year's selected cohort reflects that energy. We have 5 artists, all based here in Washington State, representing communities from Shelton to Seattle to Louis Nation. The geographic range brings a richness perspective that is deeply rooted in our region. What's especially exciting is the range of experience these artists bring. This installation will truly run the gamut from emerging artists that are stepping into this scale of work for the first time, to artists with over 30 years of experience. That creates a dynamic exhibition that blends fresh ideas with seasoned practice. Together, these works will activate public space in beautiful ways, inviting curiosity, reflection, and connection. They also reflect Something New's core ambition to create opportunities for artists at all stages of their careers, while enriching the everyday experience of our community. Ultimately, Something New 9 is more than an exhibition. It's a reflection of the growing, diverse, and engaged artistic community across Washington State, and we're proud to bring that to Bainbridge Island. I truly hope you will enjoy learning more about the selected artworks later in the meeting, and that community members and visitors alike will enjoy viewing them during the upcoming year. Finally, I want to take the opportunity to invite you to the festival finale on Sunday, May 31st. It's the finale for the Asian Arts and Heritage Month. It's 11 to 5 on Sunday, May 31st, at its new location at Waterfront Park. It will be a day full of amazing performances, food vendors, cultural booths, hands-on activities for adults and children, and much more. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Just a move followed by Malcolm Gardner. Now, Jessica. Let's see this. So, I don't get,
I want to talk for a minute about specific issue in the groundwater management plan. We're gonna have a public engagement meeting tomorrow, and I know some of the city council members are gonna attend. And we've been going back and forth with the consultants, we being some members of the subcommittee. There's two subcommittees. And it has to do with the executive summary. Specifically, there's a sentence in the executive summary that has the potential to be misconstrued or misinterpreted. And that sentence is, if managed responsibly, the island's water supply for human consumption is secure for the 20-year planning horizon, given steady population growth combined with changes in climate. Okay, so if managed responsibly, that's a big if. What do we have to do to achieve responsible management? We have to do a lot. Over the years, we know that when we do reports and we write plans, a lot of times they're not implemented, or they're implemented in part. And a lot of times because of economic limitations or other things. So number one, that sentence I just read, it doesn't say anything about the environment, the environmental considerations, the interaction between surface water and groundwater. Remember, all streams are fed by groundwater. So that's a deficiency in that sentence. The other thing, there's actually two. Another thing about this is if we're going to implement something off of the management strategies, and there's a bunch in there that are good, most notably, stormwater upgrades, if we can do it, to increase recharge, put in some kind of conservation program, totally support that. But we have to do it. We have to prioritize it, we have to fund it, we have to implement it, and then we have to see if it's working or not, how well it's working. So water conservation, managed aquifer recharge, those aren't in place yet, and they've been talked about in this report as if they're in place. That doesn't fly. That's not a standard of care in the industry. You have to have things in place, then you can project them for 20 years. So that's one thing. So we're working on that, but I wanted to make you aware of that. And then that sentence doesn't represent the report's findings because it only looks at the groundwater usage for humans. Okay, just reiterating that. Whereas throughout the report, consistent concern is expressed for the natural environment in addition to the human needs. So we need to say in the executive summary that things have to happen before we can manage responsibly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Norman. And Don?
Council members, thank you so much for your time tonight. My name is Dawn Shadow. I live down in the south end of Bainbridge Island, Ontario. I'm here tonight to continue advocating for compromise, balance, and a holistic look as you consider the transportation element and zoning ordinances advanced by the Planning Commission last Thursday. I've not time to comment tonight on the other issues. We've got a pretty big agenda, but I do hope in the coming meetings. So first, I'd like to address parking. At last Thursday's public hearing on ordinances 2026-4 and 2026-5, a resident raised concerns about the significant parking reductions proposed for Winslow. The Planning Commission advanced those ordinances without any discussion on parking. Tonight, you're considering the transportation element included in bold TL-10, which highlights parking as a vital element in our designated centers. Yet the proposed reductions have the existing requirements and allowing an additional 50% reduction near the ferry terminal risk conflicting directly with those goals. TR10 calls for providing adequate parking, preserving on-street parking, expanding public parking, and more.
Winslow already faces parking pressures, especially during business seasons. I drove around 3 times on Sunday, couldn't park. Tourists are already here. So I believe that we can support multimodal transportation, reduce emissions, and recognize that many residents, including seniors, families, and workers, still rely on cars for their essential access throughout Kitsap County. If the city were to pursue a parking structure, it could include secure bike storage, EV charging, carpool spaces, and like restrooms, supporting multimodal travel while also supporting our businesses and the tourist economy. The commenter, Mr. Zimmer, offered a clear compromise to TR10, and that would be 0.5 stalls per studio, 1 stall per 1-bedroom unit, no reductions below 0.5, and added flexibility for affordable housing. It reduces parking responsibility without undermining access, circulation, or downtown vitality. I urge you to consider this balanced approach as you work through the comp plan in our evolving community vision. Community vision is the next piece that I'd like to speak to. A foundational question for you still remains. Is Winslow, is Bainbridge urban, suburban, semi-rural, or an island community with its own mix of characteristics? Maybe you won't be knitting while I'm speaking, please. Being an island carries real constraints, finite water and fiscal resources, limited infrastructure capacity, and a transportation system dependent on a single ferry corridor. These realities must shape what is feasible and sustainable. Throughout the transportation element document, community vision has replaced community character. Community vision involves solid study and community engagement. I would urge you to engage in a real community vision before you insert that into your plan. I have more, but I'm out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone in the chamber who has signed up would like to speak before the council? Please say your name.
Hello, council. My name is Bevan Taylor. I know you're discussing housing next week, a study session, but I want to say a few things for you to consider before that happens. I see this council walking towards a comprehensive plan that may not comply with our housing mandates, or worse, one that follows the letter of the law, not its spirit. I see you walking towards policy choices that will technically allow for affordable housing, but won't provide clear and effective pathways to that housing actually being built. I see this council walking towards another failed attempt to create a policy framework that actually works for the people that build and service this community. I've spoken several times in front of this council about the humanity of the island's workforce and low-income residents. I've laid out a case for why people without a lot of money are just as deserving as access to housing on the island as people with a lot of money. I won't rehash that tonight, but I will say that as a born and raised islander, I don't want to just hear talk about theoretical affordable housing. I want to see it actually housing people. I can see that some members of this council are committed to affordable housing construction, but I'm not convinced, however, that this body as a whole is likewise committed. I see this council putting a lot of eggs in the subsidized housing basket, but I have not yet seen any seriousness about finding funding sources. I know that Councilmember Nelson believes we can obtain compliant determination from Commerce by simply documenting our shortfall for funding for affordable housing without actually having a plan to build a shortfall or meet our affordable housing targets. This sentiment does not fill me with confidence that we are likely to see a meaningful amount of affordable housing materialize. So my questions to council as you begin considering the housing element next week is whether you actually want to see affordable housing built on Bainbridge Island, or if you'll be satisfied with finding a legal loophole that gets us rule compliant without actually improving affordability. If it's the former, I want to know what you're willing to do about it. I wonder, will you set yourself housing construction targets? Will you commit to regular reviews to see if those targets are being met? And will you commit to changing policy in the future if we fall behind those targets? Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chamber who would like to speak at this moment? Can you put everyone on? Close public comment and move to item 5 on our agenda, which is an agenda.
To approve the consent agenda.
Second. Thank you. Councilmember Schuyler moves to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councilmember. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion votes 6-0, chair votes aye, it's 7-0. Item number 6 on our agenda, city manager.
Good evening, council, and I'm sure the city manager. Hope you all enjoyed the beautiful afternoon outside today. I just have a couple of highlights for you today. First, I want to put in a plug for the city's e-bike program. We have an e-bike voucher program. This is our second year. The applications close tomorrow. It's an income qualified program designed to encourage folks on the island who might benefit from a little financial assistance to be able to purchase an e-bike and reduce their vehicle trips and greenhouse gas emissions. So encouraging people to take advantage of that. The applications do close tomorrow, and I think we've had a pretty good response so far, but they will be filled by lottery, and we encourage everyone who's interested to apply. Next, I wanted to provide a quick touch point on the consideration of speed cameras. This is a project that the city council authorized staff to do outreach about to gather some information from the community on their opinion of speed cameras before you make a final decision. Staff has selected a consultant and the outreach is beginning. We expect that information gathering and information sharing will happen in June, and a report will come back to you in July for a decision on whether you'd like us to continue working on that, and if so, where the cameras would be. So that, just wanted to bring that back to you. There's a little bit more information in your packet if you want to see the exact kind of dates and times of things that are happening. And then finally, one more reminder, chime in as other commenters have said, that we are having an open house and information session tomorrow for the groundwater management plan that will be hosted in this room at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. So I encourage council members and members of the community to attend that and learn more about our groundwater management plan. Thank you.
Thank you, city manager. Deputy Mayor.
Question for the city manager. So I was a little surprised by how we were moving forward with the background work on the cameras and considering so much our place right now. I'm sorry, maybe that's something I honestly may have missed. I'm a little concerned about doing it then. Are we committed to June? It's not a present policy issue, so much going on. And school will be ending, and families will be adjusting and working attention to a lot of other things that we're doing if they're attention. Is that fixed?
It is not fixed in stone. We will certainly do the outreach, and if there are, if we are finding we're not getting the response rate that we're looking for, or getting the information that we need, we'll certainly stretch that out. And also, of course, the timing of the council report is completely flexible with your availability.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to regular business item 7. The first one is consider transportation element of the comprehensive plan. I know that we had a half hour slated for this topic.
Good evening, council. Ellen Schroer, interim city manager, and we are continuing with our systematic review of the elements of the comprehensive plan. We are introducing tonight the transportation element. The city's transportation element incorporates by reference the island-wide mobility plan. This was before you on May 12th and will be incorporated throughout the review. It's not appearing in the packet as we had forwarded for further review by the Mobility Advisory Committee and also by the council later in this process. So tonight's discussion is intended to focus on the transportation element itself. I'll turn it over to our interim planning director, Jerry Buchanan, who will have a few comments and eager to support your discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, interim city manager, Darren Buchanan, interim planning director. The transportation element is required under the Road Management Act. The planning commission considered and approved the transportation elements at a March 26, 2026 meeting. The growth management act requires that the transportation element be consistent and implement the land use element. The primary purpose of the transportation element is to set forth the transportation vision, goals, policies that are consistent with the rest of the comprehensive plan, as well as provide direction for implementing those actions. Currently, the city's operational plan is the island-wide transportation plan, and is adopted by reference within the transportation element of the previous comprehensive plan. Back in 2019, council expressed support for providing a transportation system that would improve the mobility and safety for everyone. From this, the Sustainable Transportation Task Force was created. They met from 2022 they met from 2020 through 2022, and their work resulted in a Sustainable Transportation Plan, which was adopted on March 22nd, 2022. The new island-wide mobility plan seeks to combine and update information for both of those plans. The merging of the two plans is intended to simplify the transportation and planning, simplify transportation planning efforts, as well as improve transparency. The island-wide mobility plan will serve as the reference document for the transportation element. The pros updates are to reflect the updated planning period and to acknowledge the changing conditions and updated information since 2016. On May 12th, council considered the island-wide mobility plan and refer the plans to the mobility advisory committee for review and recommendation. Following adoption of the comprehensive plan as approved, the island-wide mobility plan is presented to be adopted as plan reference in the transportation element of this comprehensive plan. A few changes to note from the transportation element include replacing non-motorized with active transportation. We'll see that throughout. An updated vision for the transportation elements, as well as an addition of policies to support planning KidSAP, transit bus, rapid transit, and to adopt a safe system approach as recommended by the Federal Highway Administration. There's a motion from you today for transportation element to a future meeting consideration of as well.
Raymond? Deputy Mayor, please.
I want to let everyone know that unfortunately, I do have 6 very easy, one word basically, but 2 short motions. So that when we're organizing how we do this, we're aware of that. I will probably try to quickly send my quick notes to, I think I can send them directly to you. I'm trying to respond on the record. But I apologize, and I do have 3 motions in the next section that I'm going to pass out to you.
Everybody, we will be moving this forward for the meeting, so we will have time. Any
Thank you very much. Well, I sent my motion ahead on this particular element. And so this is page TR5 under transportation issues. I just have one motion. The island-wide mobility plan is it's aspirational. It's got it's a big 20-year plan, and it's already been incorporated by reference. And so my goal is not to compete with that plan, but to add back some of the feel of some of the prior plans. So I'm moving to reinsert section M into the comprehensive plan. That is a section that is community character, and I'll read that. There is a desire to retain the feel of the island's existing road system. Outside of Winslow and other designated neighborhood centers, the scenic roadways, open drainage ditches, and windy roads provide a more rural flavor that may be considered important elements of the island's character. However, these elements need to be balanced with the community's desire for safe roads that provide mobility options for all ages and abilities of island residents without requirement of a vehicle. So I feel it should be a goal to achieve the community's vision for mobility while also not destroying the community and the neighborhood character. And so by deleting section M, we're rejecting the balance, the compromise, and the context-sensitive solutions. So that is the reason behind my motion to reinsert.
I second.
So that was your commission, and I heard Dr. Nelson on mine. Did I hear a second from you? All right. So it's a motion on the floor for discussion. With that, I'm going to have Councilmember
I guess I just would like to know what the reason for
I did not have a specific reason for it, so I believe it was to be heard with the, I think there was community character that was removed in other sections, just to continue along with the rule of that.
It just seems kind of, I don't know how. There, but.
Motion, I do think it was probably removed because there's a fear that it will clash with infrastructure that might not look as common. And that's fine, but the whole point is to balance these things, right? And so this is a policy document, that's by retaining this, we're keeping that side balance in our vision. So fully disagree. Thank you, Mayor. I'm also in support. I think that community character is adequately described here, defined more or less. So when it's not defined carefully, then I get a little worried about what the assumptions are. And then, you know, it very clearly says that it's balanced with the community's desire for safe roads that provide mobility options for all ages and abilities. And for island residents without private vehicles. So I support.
Any other discussion? Because by saying that a desired preservation effort, we drive around here and some of those ditches are the only thing next to the shoulder of the road, or there is no shoulder, there's drainage ditches. So if someone could read this and we're trying to expand it, let's say a shoulder or have some other motorized transportation thing, but the drainage ditch is there, which are we saying is more valuable? I mean, I would like to make a friendly amendment just to strike those three words, and I still think the content of this one, element still stands. Would you accept that? Okay. Second to that? I second. So I move, and Member Nelson, second, just to remove three words open to repetition. Any other comments, any comments on the motion? Question on the amendment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
6-0, and of course, I vote no, 5 vote. All right, we're back to the original motion as amended. Councilman Nelson, sir.
No, apologize.
So back to the amended motion.
Yes, we are.
So I move to reinsert section N into the comprehensive plan, omitting open drainage ditches from the previous motion.
Second.
If you second, so Councilmember Land has moved her amended motion. Councilmember Nelson has seconded it. Councilmember Matthews.
Sorry,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a 6-0, the chair votes aye, 7-0, motion moves forward. So,
Thanks, Mayor. I just have one motion. It is, I'm sorry, I'm so bad at doing my homework in advance. I apologize, things haven't changed. So mine is TR9. It can go either in TR9 or with policy TR 8.5 on page TR 15. And I move to perform a balanced review of off-road and on-road facilities when considering connectivity gaps and opportunities, and conduct citizen outreach and perform feasibility study of connecting Erickson Avenue and Hildebrand Lane. Second.
moved by Councilman Matthews and seconded by Councilmember, Deputy Mayor Thomas. And the essence in a short sentence would be,
This is something we've been talking about for so long. Even when we were talking about working on a comprehensive plan, several of us kept asking when this would be something to insert into the conversation. So,
Councilman Shire.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question if there was more than one element to it. I understand the final element was you had some stuff in there, so conducting citizen outreach, all the performance balance review of off-road and on-road facilities when considering connectivity gaps and opportunities is already there. All I did was add conduct citizen outreach and perform a feasibility study of connecting Erickson Avenue. Thank you.
Just for clarification, this is TR9, is it page or is it page TR9? It is page,
Right above the peak, like right above where it says TR.
It's the same paragraph from the bottom of the page.
Gotcha. Okay,
New
now,
text.
now that's, I have my eyeballs on it, would you repeat it?
Yes. I move to perform a balanced review of off-road and on-road facilities when considering connectivity gaps and opportunities, and conduct citizen outreach and perform a feasibility study of connecting Erickson Avenue. So I'm dividing the citizen outreach, but we can also move it to some.
You're not listening, Councilman Brown Johnson.
So appreciate this motion. I was racking my brain with how to now that we've improved the highway transportation plan. With this opportunity because I think this belongs there. And so I think that we're checking in with the interim planning director about whether a better, like if we have a majority vote here, whether process wise, it would be better for us to agree to be open that, to have staff add that as something we're gonna do, because this is specific. And I think that'd be great. And if not, I absolutely endorse it here because I want to get it done somewhere.
Was the question of whether it should go with the Highland Mobility Plan?
Whether the specificity of exploring the connection of those two streets, we should be putting into the either transportation plan, or if it makes sense to do it here. Again, I fully support wherever that belongs.
My recommendation would be for the transportation element, but I'd also defer to the city manager if she has any input as well.
Yeah, well, I think that, we can handle it in either place. It is very specific to put in here. The other side of that is Highland Mobility Plan. With that is, we could certainly incorporate it there. From the beginning, the change you would be introducing is that Highland Mobility Plan incorporates existing plan sets. And so in that way, it would sort of beg the question as in, although this has been discussed for a long time, it's not a project that hasn't been, so I think we could do it either way. But if you'd like to see it here, it certainly would be a fine one to include.
So follow up, Deputy Mayor.
The follow-up would be, as I mentioned in the night, I think I said, the only reference to Hillebrand, in the Aquatic Transportation Plan or mobility plan was in public comments saying that people didn't want it because because of it would affect, biking, walking, etc. So I think we should move it into there. Is there support here for this so that we're clear we do want this actually explored? I think that if we're saying we want to explore it, we're not mandating it happen, but that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I support that. I want to make sure that it's someplace so that we're going to take some action. And not just because this is an explorational document. So we need to put it somewhere where we know we can get some action.
I support this motion as well. Also acknowledging that 20 years ago, this led to the rise and fall of many council members. So this was a big hoop to do. And just buckle up, people, because this is going to be a very robust conversation with everybody who lives and uses that area.
For the comment, just been doing a time check every 10 minutes on the subject, so we're going to check in.
So, I think I can amend it to go into the island-wide mobility plan that has, or, yeah. Let me see what I think what would be helpful to make it work well in the plan would be to ask staff to come back, when this comes back to us with an update to the island-wide mobility plan. That wherever it was appropriate for this to be explored, that's where it's noted. So we would know what figure or what paragraph, what we're saying, we would like to interpret in we'd like added to the plan, the exploration of that connection, including the public process that Councilor Matthews is discussing.
So,
So moved.
there's a second to Councilor Matthews.
That's second.
Seconded by Councilor Fowler Johnson, moved by Councilor Matthews, seconded by Councilor Fowler Johnson on this amendment. Any questions? Any comment? On favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is no to 6-0, chair votes aye, it is 7-0. Okay. Now we're moving to the next one. Okay. Councilmember Nelson, you have several motions, I believe.
Yes, so I'll just start at the top. So I move to strike the words fiscally responsible from the third sentence of the first paragraph under Transportation Vision 2044. Yeah, I'll speak to it. Was there a second? Sorry, I'm having a difficult time hearing. Just overarching thoughts, which is, I don't think this transportation plan is fiscally responsible. I think it's $100 million primarily for bike lanes, and I think I'm concerned it doesn't adequately respond to the challenges of climate change or further our climate goals, including reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 90%. I will say that completing the connecting centers, if you look in the island-wide mobility plan, it only leads to a 5% reduction in vehicle miles traveled. And this element, it doesn't even mention electric vehicles. Meanwhile, at the municipal level, we've reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 71% by using electric vehicles and sourcing clean energy. This plan would mean a bond offering, so putting money on the credit card, all while we're needing to raise taxes for basic road maintenance. And then we may need a new wastewater treatment plant. We need to spend money to implement the groundwater management plan. And then if you look at the sources of revenue to pay for the plan, we're siphoning off $30 million in real estate excise tax.
We have 7 minutes left for all our motions. Keep up.
Thank you, Mayor. It is able to, first of all, find where these are. I was looking at them previously doing homework, and now I have to go back and find them all over again. But I guess I just have to say that this is an aspirational document, and fiscally responsible is absolutely something that we should aspire to. So I do not support.
Yeah, so I probably share Councilor Nelson's concerns, and for that reason, I actually think that it is a good idea to have this responsible here. Because what we're saying is that when we get to 2044, we're going to say we're doing this, this, and this, and it's going to be fiscally responsible. So I actually was gonna stuck on that myself briefly and thought, no, let's keep this really responsible.
Should no further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I see Nelson and Deputy Mayor sorry. Councilor Nelson votes aye. Those opposed.
Okay.
5 opposed. And their votes no. So this 4, 6-1. Thank you. Councilor Nelson.
The first thing I want to point out is not a motion, it's for the interim director, just to make sure that there's a reference in the, that's right, what we're just looking at,
a reference to the plan talking about forested areas, meadows, farms, green use and access, scenic point roads, supporting all forms of transportation. Pretty sure that came from the older version of the policy, called the principles and policies that we've updated, and I'm pretty sure the language changed, so I don't know that we need a motion just to ask that someone goes and double checks that that's consistent, because I think that got tweaked. So if you guys are okay with me making an actual motion, that's my motion is, on page TR 15, so to help you find it. Policy 8.1. Unless there's a good reason to have struck while maintaining emergency vehicle response times, I would like to retain that language. So staff has a reason why we would aim to retain emergency vehicle response times in neighborhoods. Then I move to retain while maintaining emergency vehicle response times in policy TR 8.1 on page 15.
Second.
Been moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councilmember Johnson to insert the language that was just stated. Retain. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I would not support this. I know it sounds terrible, I wouldn't, but we're already collaborating with fire. And I think there are certain circumstances where it makes sense that, we could do something here that, might impact vehicle response, but we get it back by doing something else. So I think as long as we continue to collaborate, which we've always done, I don't think that I would support changing the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think, until we can find some language or get some language just to allow it to stay out, I'm going to support it.
Yeah, I absolutely support this motion. Obviously, living on the south end, we have seen what has happened with the head of the bay, and emergency vehicle response times were delayed. And so I think it's absolutely important to make sure this language is in there, because if somebody has a heart attack, they need somebody to get there quickly. So I support the motion.
We do support this motion because this, again, is a 20-year document, and everybody in this room may not even be here in 20 years. And somebody reading this document may not know some of the bad conversations. So making language plain is important.
The motion for Mr. Seconded to insert or retain certain language. That's going to be a transportation plan. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have Councilmember Schneider going nay, some of the members, and the chair votes aye. So it is 6-1. So just the time take us long way about minutes. So with the consent council, I think we can extend another 10 minutes of this subject. That would. All right. Councilman Nelson.
Okay, I move to add a policy TR 1.5, which reads as follows: receive recommendations from the Mobility Advisory Committee on potential amendments to the island-wide mobility plan and the transportation element.
But I is the total.
Guidance of where this is located in the transportation.
Yeah, I can get a page number.
It's on the bottom of page TR-7. It would be a new policy added as 1.5. And the language of the suggested motion is on page 201 of your packet under Councilmember Nelson's motions. I hope that's helpful, Councilmember.
So your hand is up, whether you want to speak.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having audio problems. This,
Did you want to move on? Did you say you did you want to continue to? Recognition.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Councilor Nelson's motion is to add a new policy to the transportation element. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Council votes 6-0, chair votes aye, passes unanimously 7-0. Deputy Mayor Thomas?
I'm trying to go really fast here. I think most of the rest of my motions are action out. I'm going to be frank, kind of injecting vehicles and pavement a bit back into and parking a bit back into the plan. I think when I first looked at this, I was concerned that I assumed that what I was looking for is additions and embellishments, improvements in the direction of the mobile, but I feel like there were a few changes that interested. I don't see a reason to do it as possible to the infrastructure that we need to actually supply. So my next motion, and I'm not sure if this is one of those, but it's safety. It's on TR 15, safety and maintenance goal, TR 9. And it is to restore the word existing. So TR 15, sorry, I'm going to select it on the scroll first. So to me, I mean, some of these changes, I don't know what they mean. I've been trying to avoid us spending any money or effort on roadways and so forth, which unfortunately for us, because we are basically a very low density island, there's going to be a lot of people in cars for some period of time. And so I don't see a reason to, I guess what I'm saying is motion was to, remove existing, my motion is to remove the word existing. So in the original language, because it suggests by adding existing that we're only going to preserve what we have, and we would never consider making other changes to the roadway system. And I'm not on board with that. I don't know if we will, but I don't see a reason to modify that. And again, the other motions that I'm going to make, I thought there's a consistent theme.
Second.
Second to add the word.
To remove the word that we added the word existing, and I'm very sorry for getting that wrong.
Okay. Move the second, moved by Deputy Mayor Thomas, second.
Can I read the sentence for the public's benefit?
Yeah.
So without the word, support the safe use of the transportation system by maintaining the roadway network, so no page change. It's already there, and including necessary safety enhancements and transportation improvement projects. The addition had been support the safe use of the transportation system by maintaining the existing roadway system. And then the verb. So remove the word existing.
Motion on the floor has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Council votes 6-0, chair votes aye, 7-0. Passes unanimously. Councilor Nelson.
I move to add a policy TR 1.6, which reads as follows: encourage the use of electric and hybrid vehicles where possible.
There's plenty further discussion. I think it's pretty clear what the council consent is. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Wait. I'm sorry.
It's because of the so what I would change is start off the conversation by this then which is otherwise to get it. So it's right.
We will. And if you guide us to the location, Councilor Nelson.
Oh, apologies. So it would be a new policy TR 1.6 on page TR 7.
Last number.
Is it TR7?
Here, thank you.
The motion has not been made yet, right?
It was made.
I'm thinking that Councilmember Nelson is not aware that we need him to make a motion. Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, anybody can make a motion. You can make this motion.
Thank you very much.
So, Councilmember Nelson, would you like to reintroduce your motion?
Yeah, I lost audio, but I will do it again. So I move to add a policy TR 1.6, which reads as follows: encourage the use of electric and hybrid vehicles where possible.
Deputy Mayor, Councilor Shire.
So I'm thinking that this is an environmental, not a transportation reason for being.
Deputy Mayor.
I would agree. I have absolutely no problem with this as a policy, but it's the issue here in this element. That doesn't help us with where to turn road or traffic or anything. So I think we should maybe hold the motion for, is that the environmental element when it comes to us again?
Well, the island-wide mobility plan has the goal in it of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, so I think it's part and parcel and that this is directly related.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Councilor Lamb.
Question for the emergency manager. There's been a couple of motions over the last couple of weeks that were made for elements that the motions frankly would have lived in a better space.
If I could quickly interrupt, that's more point where you're not addressing the motion directly. So bring that up. It's a little bit out of turn on this motion that we're trying to deciding whether it's going to be like a climate thing or a transportation.
There's a question though, if the environmental element is, we've already done the first touch on that. Is somebody else taking notes that we're going to try and reinsert it, or are council members making notes themselves that these motions that are being put to a different element at a later date, we remember to bring these back? That's my question.
Thank you. Staff is compiling the list of your motions through the minutes and also to just make sure that we're truing up. And so we can bring this back to you as part of the environmental element when it comes back, but we won't update the environmental element unless you pass a motion even today that says update the environmental element with this language.
That's your question. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Any process reason we couldn't make that motion today? I know it's a question for the city attorney since that.
I don't see any reason.
How about we modify this to, if that was a motion made originally, to make a motion today, add that to the environmental.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll support it in transportation. It's aspirational here, but it seems like it might have more teeth as an environmental greenhouse.
gas goal. But I would support either.
For discussion, there's been a time check, we're at 42 minutes now, I didn't know the 10 minutes would push us to 50 minutes on discussion, so, just want to keep it in mind. Right?
Well, Councilmember,
Good afternoon.
Councilmember Nelson, are you willing to do that? I think what we have to be wary of is editing the content on the fly by just a few council members here, that we don't lose good structure and process. So would you be willing to make that motion to move it to the?
Okay, how about modified motion? Or I withdraw my motion, I'll make a new motion. I move to add a new policy either to the transportation element or to the environmental element that reads as follows: encourage the use of electric and hybrid vehicles where possible.
The motion, and then it just says we added as consideration to the environmental elements that are. Right, Deputy Mayor Thomas.
So the motion actually was to add one or the other, and staff is in what's the direction. Are you asking staff to make a decision for us as to which one's appropriate, or go with the direction of staff?
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion and I'll make a new motion. I move to add a new policy to the environmental element which reads as follows: encourage the use of electric and hybrid vehicles where possible.
And just clarification of Councilman, that you agree with the approval of the motion. Thank you.
That's a motion.
No, we have a second. Okay. We have further. So this horse is kind of. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Council, 7 minutes. Keep in mind, my 7 minutes left, we have many amendments, so let's move. Go ahead, Councilman.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, definitely tight top.
Okay, so on page, on page TR 16, policy 9.1, which I also. I will move to remove this in its entirety, and I will explain why. I recognize this something we're about me with the safe systems approach and the zero fatality standard. And while of course all of these are really, I mean, obviously a zero fatality standard is, that would be great, that should be our goal. I think that the safe systems approach is directed almost entirely at substantial reduction in speed limits. I think it's actually concerning that this edition was not transparent about that. I think some of us have some concerns. We may have gone a bit far in that direction, and I'm not going to vote to adopt a standard, an outside standard that I don't think the community fully understands, the council fully understands. I personally don't believe I'm going to support it in its entirety, such that I would put in the comment.
Councilman Nelson. Councilman Nelson, your hand is up.
Apologies, it was still up. I have nothing.
So
this made me think more of the role, also that we
if I may recommend, there's a motion moved that has been seconded, so I'm waiting for a second.
second.
Okay, thank you. Second.
Just one second. Okay, but I'll speak to it. I guess, this might be one of those that we take note of until we get more information on what the safe systems approach is, because I don't know that I remember talking about it, but I don't know that I opposed it.
Another possibility is we could from now on not include it, which I think that could also be, but we could put it to the mobility committee and ask them to sell it to us, and then we can adopt it then. But this is a question again, like I think work that's been done that the planning commission and the city council hasn't really been involved in, and it needs to get to this level where we make such an enforcement.
Councilman Schneider.
I would support you going to the mobility committee However, it does speak right here to the road safety for all users, anticipating human error. And I think that is one of the biggest, I mean, obviously reducing speeds does always reduce traffic fatalities and serious injury. But the new concept here is saying that the roadways and the infrastructure has to assume that people are human and make mistakes. So I would be happy to support it going to the mobility committee themselves.
Any further discussion? The move and second to take this policy TR for one to the mobility. Deputy Attorney
I think that probably people would like to formally amend the motion to include and refer this policy question to the mobility committee. Yeah. So I'm amending that.
Second.
Commissioner Higginbotham moved to amend her motion and seconded by Councilor Matthews. Any further discussion? Councilor Schreiber.
Sorry, I think what you're saying is that we are including it and we're not including it. Okay, I support it.
Just to be clear, my motion is to remove 9.1 in its entirety and to move that question to the mobility committee for future action.
Any further discussion or clarification on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, 6-0, the chair votes aye, 7-0. We're back to about 3 minutes left on this slide. Councilor Nelson.
I move to strike policy TR 5.1 as it is in conflict with goal TR 10.
The first policy under goal 5 on page TR 12.
Okay, he has made a motion, it hasn't been seconded, so it's just floating right now.
Second.
Page TR 12.
So first of all. Deputy Attorney Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, just as much as I'm asking to move things back in to support people who drive cars. So I don't have a problem with this. I would support his language staying in this direction. I don't want to discourage the use of cars, but I also just want to provide infrastructure.
Any further discussion on this motion? All for the question, all for Councilor Nelson's motion, seconded by Councilor Absolute policy TR 5.1. Please say aye.
Aye.
2 ayes, all opposed, please say nay. So we have Councilor Latt and Councilor Nelson voting aye, and the chair votes nay, so it is 5-2. Fails. 2-5. Yes. Now, Deputy Attorney Thompson.
Going back to TR6, page TR16.
The page number.
Yeah, TR6, page TR16. Sorry, I'm just going back. Policy TR 9.2, which is right under the, which I asked you to move. Policy TR 9.2, I would like to restore, include transportation projects and remove maintain. I can break that into motions as well, and we're to allow people to have different opinions about those. Yeah, so the policy reads right now, what was originally there was include transportation projects and adequate operation and maintenance funding to ensure that vehicular and non-motorized transportation system infrastructure is maintained in a safe and usable condition. What has been struck is include transportation projects, and the word maintain is put in, which may suggest we're already at funding. We now have maintain adequate operation and maintenance funding to ensure that vehicular and active transportation system infrastructure is maintained in safe and usable condition. So my motion is to is to retain the original language, include transportation projects and then remove maintain. So it simply is, so include transportation projects and adequate operation and maintenance funding to ensure the infrastructure.
And then we'll just say.
Second.
And then we'll just second. Moved by Councilman Gonzalez and seconded by Councilman Lance. Then the language as just described. Any further discussion? Question, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Council votes 6-0, chair votes aye, 7-0, and I'm extending another 10 minutes, so we're going to be in the hour at the end of this. All right. Councilman Nelson.
Okay, I move to strike the words low volume from the first line of policy TR 2.5 on page TR 9.
That's it. We're going for the motion. Thank you.
I'll second.
Sorry, last seconds.
Just letting you know that the language that is being spoken about is up on your screen. It is the top motion. So just a little update here for you. Our IT staff is pulling that for you as quickly as we can, also for the public who are watching. And I also want to acknowledge that we are having some technical difficulties tonight, and it is very difficult, I think, for Councilmember Nelson to hear us. And also very difficult for people who are watching to hear the live stream. Oh, our clerk might have one.
I just have a suggestion. If you turn the closed caption on, I'm seeing closed captions in real time. So that might be a helpful way to get around the sound issue.
I also understand that if you are at home and watching on Zoom, the audio is much better than on the live stream on our city website. So apologies for that. We've been working hard to solve this issue, but we're not successful before we even started.
Councilman Shire.
Thank you, Mayor. So I would oppose this, on the grounds that, providing it for shoulder facilities only works in safely where you've got low volume arterial roadways. So if it's not low volume, then we shouldn't be providing shoulder facilities.
So I feel differently about the shoulder issue. However, I actually am happy to see shoulders anywhere in here. I don't see that it says we cannot provide shoulders ultimately on higher volume roads. But it does at least encourage shoulder facilities somewhere. So I'm happy to leave it if it said, unless I'm missing something. I don't see it saying that we couldn't decide, hey, we can't afford to do these other projects. We want to leave shoulders or whatever on the roads. So I'm good with it.
I would like to know if low volume is defined somewhere, like, what are we saying? What's the number?
I don't believe that that item is defined within this plan.
So it's very subjective.
Correct.
Thank you. Councilman Shire.
I'll chime in with Councilmember Patrick Johnson. Subjective words are really difficult to decide back and forth, and I think they should just be removed. So I am in support of this motion.
So we're looking at any of the guides that, the level of service and whatnot, it is very specifically defined for, the level of service facilities are defined for particular speed limits. So it may not be defined in this particular sentence, but if we're gonna go look for where the authority says said what we should be doing. It is very much defined and it varies depending on the infrastructure.
Deputy Mayor Hightopoulos, Councilor Franklin Johnson.
I do want to acknowledge intellectually that this is an addition, so it actually, and that means that we are making a policy decision to say low volume. But then even then, I just acknowledge that, and that's a little concerning to me, but even then, we're making a commitment to providing facilities where we need to. So I will support maintaining.
I think I can ask for clarification. So the Department of Transportation defines the volume as 400 or less trips. If that helps any.
Any further discussion? I would strike, just any of there's an opportunity we have with shoulder facilities. That it says on and it's all volume material locally, so if indeed it was on a higher volume, someone might say that's a violation of conflict. So I just want to give the opportunity open for any possible share. Councilor Lynn.
No, I'll support that, Mayor Morlacki. Yeah, any opportunity to add some safety in any roadway, I support.
Deputy Mayor, please.
I don't really want to comment because I'm not switch my vote, because the reality is since several of you take this to be limiting us to only doing it on low volume, then I would like to strike it.
So the motion, so by ruling your motion, the content stays. I don't know, right, but I show us to. Right, so you, so Deputy Mayor, Deputy Mayor, so you are moving down.
I'm sorry, I just think when somebody makes a pitch for a vote and then they flip their vote, all of a sudden they probably should quickly chime in, and I'm saying that based on the fact, I still don't think this limits us, but since several council members believe that us adopting this language means we will feel prohibited from anything but application orders, they were above low volume, I'm changing my vote to agree with the motion and will be voting yes.
I'm pardon me, confused. I'm just stepping in for a second. What comes from Chair?
Thank you, Mayor. So since safety has been brought up, I just need to share that when you add shoulders to a road, you're making the road wider. And even if there's a white line on that road, the perception on that road is that cars can go faster. So it is in fact more dangerous in some cases to add shoulders. And so it's not the safe option in all cases to add them.
So to the motion maker, since your motion was to remove the words, just remove your motion and the content stays as is. You don't need to have a second motion because your motion was to remove the word low volume. Is that correct? Then,
Okay, we seem to have been turned around here. The motion that Councilmember Nelson made was to remove low volume. Right. And so we need to call a vote for that. That's the only motion.
fair enough. Right. Okay. All in favor of the motion to remove the words low volume?
Aye.
All opposed? So then that was 3-4 and then
Okay, also on page 2, my last motion is there, policy 9.3, so let's see. Page TR 16, 9.3. Up there. So it's. Okay, yeah, sorry. It is to restore the word motorized. So it would be, consider opportunities to improve the motorized, and I don't have any problem with motorized and active transportation infrastructure as a means to increase mobility options for cyclists and pedestrians, but I don't understand why we would motorized. And again, I'm concerned about us, there being a theme of not continuing, not supporting projects for roads.
Maybe
It's not quite sure.
TR16.
Yeah, it says, it's right, it's on the screen, right? So it says, consider opportunities to improve, it now says, consider opportunities to improve the active transportation infrastructure as a means to increase mobility options for cyclists and pedestrians. To me, that means we are saying we want to improve bike lanes, it's trails, I don't know. It's not the motorized portion. We're making a policy decision here to remove the motorized infrastructure. And perhaps the plan director.
Looking at it, I mean, I can't speak to the director, but looking at it, Lena may have been focusing on motorized. And because if you see throughout, we replace everywhere where it's non-motorized with active transportation. So they made a mistake of changing, just capturing motorized, and changing it to active transportation.
Like my shadow.
Thank you, Mary. The way I read this is, I think that originally when it said consider opportunities to improve the motorized infrastructure, basically you could just substitute roads there and say, consider opportunities to improve the roads as a means to increase mobility options for cyclists and pedestrians. So I think in any case, you're looking at it as improving the infrastructure for mobility for cyclists and pedestrians. It's just a different way of referring to what infrastructure is underlying it.
Now that I look at this, and thank you, planning director, because I think what we may be seeing here is there is a typo here. I bet this was non-motorized infrastructure, because who would say motorized infrastructure rather than roads? So I'm going to withdraw my motion and trust that somehow staff's accidentally deleted the original non, because then all we're doing is we're just changing, like you said, we're just using the new vernacular for that, and this was never directed at roads. It's never directed at vehicular traffic, roads in general. So,
I think that that discussion is not really. Council, more discussion. Councilor Nelson.
Oh, sorry, is there a motion on the table?
So discussion. Next.
I'm sorry, am I able to make a motion?
Yes, recognize that. Yeah.
Okay, I move to add the following sentence to the end of TR or policy TR 6.6 on page TR 13. Reevaluate speed limits with a view towards encouraging the efficient movement of goods and freight through truck corridors.
This was something, actually, this was, it discuss, I had wanted to have when we were going to be, if we were going to be discussing more of, the public or citizen outreach of speed cameras, but, places where it's like Whiteman Road and the Sandspit where the speed limit is fairly, really high, and then a lot of residents complain about that. But there are also places where they might be low, walks and moving the goods to the south end. So this is something.
Motion forward for this session. Seeing none, call for the question, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. So we have, and the chair votes aye, so we. So it's 6 with 1 abstention. Councilor Schneider abstaining. All right. Councilor Nelson, Councilmember Francie Johnson.
Can I request that when we're doing these motions, that we're slowing down enough to give us a chance to find it and then to hear what your change is? Because you're gonna have people like me. By the time I find it, it's time to vote on it. And that's not, if you want my support or not, give me a chance to find it.
Thank you. Councilor Nelson.
Yeah, I apologize to Councilmember Fontroy Johnson. I just feel like I'm trying to rush through it because of time limits, and so my apologies on that one. So I move to strike TR action number 1 on page TR-20. So page TR-20.
It's my last motion. And that's on page TR-20, TR action 2. So I'm going to wait until people.
The last bit.
I would move to retain the language maximize parking. So that would leave that to state where the kids of transit, I would business owners should increase transit, we need to say and maximize, increase transit, maximize parking and active transportation opportunities for employees, customers, etc.
Second.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thomas to add continue with the increased transit, maximum parking, and on the basis, right? And Councilor Nelson seconded. Councilor Shire.
So I will be supporting this motion. Maximizing parking is almost by definition decreasing transit. And I guess the bigger issue is, the community being willing to pay for it, but yeah, no, I can't support it.
So a couple of things, I don't see that, it doesn't say to build a parking garage or add parking or anything really. I mean, we have had a parking problem for a long time. I think all of our downtown business owners would agree it's a concern. This could be problematic. It could also be kids of transit that somehow we're able to get another parking ride somewhere on the island. So there's a lot of things that parking represents, but for us to strike that suggests that we don't have any concerns about parking. And I think that we can both have a parking problem downtown in particular and still be working to encourage people not to drive.
Thanks, Mayor. And so this one I'm not going to support, only because I've been thinking about it from the, not that I own a business, but I run one downtown, and to us, I mean, parking is so valuable there in front of Harbor Square. Folks use it for ferry, folks use it, so we don't park there, we like to do that with our customers. And when I look at this, it looks like it's on our responsibilities, so kids have transit and island business owners to maximize parking. And that almost seems in opposition to increasing transit or encouraging transit. So I get what you're, but I can't support it here. Just want to say, it says work with, and again, there's a couple more issues we've had. Issues with permit structure, this is a cooperative paragraph saying that we would work together to do this. So I'm generally certainly going to say that we're not going to do that.
Just know that I am in support of this. I think it's, especially when you consider parking rides, even the new Day Road one, that will inherently provide more parking downtown without more spaces. And we also know that, working with downtown business owners, they know that people are using their parking for other reasons rather than, visiting their stores. So I think we need to encourage opportunities like this.
Councilor Shire.
I'll change my mind and go ahead and support it. I'll take up this battle elsewhere.
Councilmember Bella Johnson.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna support it also, because I think we need to foster some sort of operation. Well, you know, or not. we end up with whatever.
Yeah, I guess if you want to read it the house, but it's not something that the business owners have to do, it's working with them, to help them. Then that's it. It looked like to me like it's homework, like business is on them to maximize parking, which seemed like a nightmare, but. You know, okay.
Good discussion. Thank you for the ending of that. Mr. Matthews, because I look at it as the city might be the person reaching out to work, so it's very wrong. But very good. Any further discussion? All in favor of Deputy Mayor Thomas's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Council votes 6-0, chair votes aye, 7-0, just for reminding council, I already pre-added 10 minutes, and we're approaching an hour and 20 minutes with that 7 minutes. Thank you. Councilman Nelson.
Okay, so page TR20, oh, we're already on TR20. TR action number 1, I move to strike TR action number 1. I don't support doing a bond offering to pay for these bike lanes, and I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Just want to point out that it says it's important for the public that it's considerate. That's very important, and I appreciate the point made by Councilmember Patrick Johnson. If I thought this was just for the non-motorized transportation, I wouldn't feel comfortable. We have talked about road means I wouldn't want to be not considering roads.
Further discussion? As I agree, it's broader, we need to make sure that we have any possible tools we can to make that transportation happen. So, seeing no hands or Councilor Lynn.
I just want to say, I do support, the motion, because it does say accelerate the accomplishment of the goals of the transportation element. And anything that, isn't in our, general obligation bond language, to accelerate the goals of the transportation element, that's a hard sell for me. If we don't have it in our budget or, a proposed budget going out in the CIP situation, I can't support that.
Any further discussion? Councilor Nichols.
Thanks, Mayor. For me, the keyword is considerate, so I would.
Councilor Shannon.
Are we voting to strike it? What are you, so opposing it is saying we want to keep it?
Yes.
Okay.
The motion was to strike the entire action.
Okay, and I guess I would just point out that it looks like there's no change been made, so this has been, this is status quo from a previous version. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, Councilor Council's motion was to strike TR action number 1. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Councilmember Nelson, Councilmember Shai,